Okay. Um, like I said, I'm gonna continuously make videos because one thing is for sure is I'm slowly, well, not even at this point, my brain is completely rewired and manipulated, and they're so deep in my thoughts that now, like, if when they have these thoughts, it feels very much like one person said, very like deep in my brain, right? Like one I think called it stealthy. In it says that you almost feel like it's your thoughts, but just what are being the way things are going in your brain. That's how you know it's not you. But I'll make a specific video about this. But what I wanted to show here is this, right? You see this black guy in China. It's a video about this black guy in China, and you see people reacting. Now this definitely teenage kids next to him. Chinese girl, Chinese teenage girls, right? I'm giving like mid 15, 16, maybe 17, the highest. And so they were forcing me to have these different ways of perceiving these kids. Now, of course, you can do that to babies of all sorts. So older kids, I mean, like teenage kids who like mid-teens to older teens, they can easily do it. So they will try to force me, and because some Chinese people, and it's crazy, it's hard, they can make you think of an adult woman. And in this case, because some Chinese women, adult women, look very young, because they look younger than you think, because of just their gene, right? They look younger, and so they're actually initially try to even make me subscribe, like, they know maybe she's an older like, I was like, no, she's a teenager. No, she's the teenager. I'm like, yeah. And the more I look at it, it's like 16-year-old teenagers, so some 15, 16 years old. And they try to force me to look at this kid in different ways, and the way they make me look at her face, and try to make me imagine like an older Asian woman. No, when I mean older, like a young adult woman, right? And try to make me, because of some Asian characteristic can be obviously very distinct, even when they older, and they'll try to find ways to like create a way to look at these kids in a adult way, and then make me look at them in a sexual way. So first step was like, how can I perceive this kid as an adult, and then try to make me look at look at these kids in a sexual way. And so that's why I take this screenshot, and it's like, I know you manipulate me, and they would then try to make me look at their like physical part in a sexual way. So if thankfully the video is an actual video, you see like reality. These kids will actually have a body of kids, like there's no mistaking, even just by looking, like they have a physical appearance of kids. But they were trying to make me look at them in this sexual way, right? They've done that to babies. So this kids who aren't babies but are still kids, they're gonna easily do these things. Now you listen to the people. Their job is to make you accept this sex. That's what they do. And I'm gonna make sure I'm right now there in my mind, like, try to which picture I should show. I'm gonna show the one that's obviously show how much of the kids they are. And I gotta be careful, because there's ways they can manipulate my brain based on the different angles of the pictures to make me look at kids in a more adult way, and then turn that into sexual ways. So it's really what they do. Now, to gaslight you, to make you accept these things, to tell me all the horrible things I'm going to experience. Now, I know I'm talking to people whose jobs is dedicated to manipulate people into accepting these nasty pedophilia ways. It's obvious that things like that are not free. They can't even say Roy Moore, and they're here forcing me to think about kids in these disturbing ways. And so, as I'm waiting for whatever horrible things are going to happen to me, I will continuously make videos to not only show that they don't, like, I'm not subscribing to this nastiness they do to me. I will show, in a sense, that look at this, look at what they're trying to make me experience, look at how they want me to perceive these kids, to look at what they're trying to do. And they listen to this perps, which you guys can hear it, but via V2K I can hear them, this bottom feeders, almost childlike people, try to get you to subscribe to this. and try to make you accept these manipulations of my perception of this, teenage kids. And this is not teenage kids that you have doubts, right? Those are teenage kids that you can tell immediately that they're kids, right? There's some that it's hard to tell. It's like, oh my gosh, this is hard to. But I can give easily 16-year-old kid there, 16, even maximum top of the top 17. But this is like a 16-year-old kid. Try to make me subscribe to these perceptions is what they're trying to do by telling me what's gonna happen to me in regard of torture. So before those days comes, here's what I'm not gonna stop. And of course, when the time comes for them, they remember these moments, as I've warned them, as they were warning me to gaslight me of what's gonna happen to them. I'm not saying anything magical. I'm saying the obvious. They force people to have disturbing perceptions toward children of all ages, from the babies to the older kids. And these people are going to try to gaslight you into accepting this. These same people who can't even say Roy Moore are going to try to make you accept these pedophilia things. And look how obvious these people are kids. This is not a doubt. I know they're kids. They look like kids. But in my brain, manipulate it the way it is. They're going to try to make me look at these kids in a way that is sexual, and almost try to make me perceive them in an adult way, as if they're adults. So to all my target individuals, stay strong. This is why I make these videos. They want you to accept these false perceptions. Do not. So as I'm listening to this recording, right, because before I upload, I just wanted to listen, right. I'm listening first of all because some people here, my perps, which are contracted by these government entities filled with pedophiles, want me to subscribe to these things. So you heard what they try to make me experience with this kid. This obviously like a 16-year-old kid. But when I'm recording, I gotta be careful what I say, because what I say is sometimes forced onto me, like it's forced speech, right? You hear people say that they can make me say things that I don't mean to say, especially when I'm in the moment I speak and I just don't realize what I just said. And what I just said is something that made me say something. I'd say something about make me look at this sex part. So something. It's not. What I was trying to say is the way they were making me look at these kids. They were trying to make me look at them in a way that's sexual, right? And so they look at like something that can be turned to something sexual. In this case, for this specific kid, just make me look at her legs and try to create some kind of perceptions that's sexual, right? Because on a woman, I would look at that, and if there's something that's stimulating, I would find it stimulating. Now, obviously, this is going to be forced into me toward this kid. This kid's naturally, I will look at it, whatever, up and down, down and up. It will do nothing to me. Nothing will come out of this. I will not be like, oh my gosh, I'm interested or stimulated or find any stimulations toward this kid, right? Because one, she's a kid, and two, she looked like an actual kid, right? It'll be different if some kid that actually looked like an adult. It's a kid. A 16-year-old kid that looks her age, look like a typical like Chinese kid, and that's that. But they are trying to make me look at this kid in a sexual way, and I obviously see this being a kid. Their job is to get you to accept these false perceptions. They're going to continuously do that, but they want you to identify to these things. That's why there's a trash. There's this bottom feeders outside doing this gaslighting, yelling, pedo. Last year, same time, I was talking about how these people sold their soul to pedophiles. This article comes out finding out there's a bunch of pedos running these agencies, and they're trying to force me to accept these false perceptions toward these teenage kids, this Chinese teenage kid, and try to find ways to look at this kid in a sexual way. And I have no doubts that this nasty manipulations is one of many of the stimulation they forced me to have and perceptions they've had me have since day one, from the babies to the older kids. Because the reality is they want me to be their Roy Moore, but because they can't even say Roy Moore, they're frustrated and try to make me their Roy Moore. And of course, part of this program is to create and manipulate people into different perceptions and have different reality. And there's people contracted to work day in and day out to make you subscribe to these things and be like, oh, we just saw what just happened. Well, you saw how I was just manipulated to perceive this child. You see that a lot because this is the things they do, and there's purpose around, which are pedophiles in my eyes. I call them pedos. For their sole job is to make me accept these pedophile things, and they say the things. Earlier there's somebody who say, "Oh, we're gonna implant cocaine." She's like, coke." Right? I'm thinking if they say coke, they talk about drugs. These are the same people who are quote unquote supposed to be investigating. Right? They're telling you they're gonna implant cocaine or whatever fraudulency or facade they're gonna create. Those are the same people in the program that can rewire and manipulate your brain in all the different ways. So to all my target individuals, do not subscribe to this false stuff. They're low life trash. They're gonna get theirs. And whatever's gonna happen to me, I'm thankful that I didn't have to live my life doing the nasty things they do.